Hey, welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe. We're going to have to slow down a little bit today. Talk slow a little bit. You know, it's a calming year right now. I'll tell you the only thing that's really not calm right now are the amount of acquisitions going on in the industry already. We talked about yesterday Canada buying the Hart Transportation.
Yeah.
Yet Schneider just did another purchase. There's some acquisitions going on across this world. Across this country, and I think it's expected. You know, I would have thought we'd have seen one or two, maybe more close at the end, but there were some big ones last year. Don't take that. I mean, some huge ones. You had UPS, on the on the LTL side, get sold. There's a lot of acquisitions. I do expect 2022 to be a little bit I'm going to say it's going to be a crazy acquisition year for many companies. It's the only way they're going to be able to grow. Still with the chip shortage, still with a truck shortage, the new trucks being on allocation. Has anybody seen a trailer yet? I don't even see new trailers down the highway. I see no temporary tags going on. So one way to grow in this market that, let's face it, it's a pretty good market, is to acquire companies with trucks.
Yeah, I saw a trailer guy the other day in the hallway, and I was like, "Do you have any trailers?" He was like, "No, we don't expect it." I said, "Why are you here? You don't even forecast any for all year. So why are you taking vacation?"
For real, right? And yeah, I mean, what is there to sell to do that? The truck guys, the same thing. Let's face it, 2022, it's going to be an interesting year. I don't think that we fully understand the trends yet. I mean, the trends in the freight cycles, are they going to follow along what happened in 2021? Are they going to go down a little bit? Are they going to go up? We start the year off, and we talked about it yesterday, but let's just look. I mean, we start the year, and it's early, okay?
It is early.
I mean, let's face it, it's the first week, but still, we started off with a little bit more volume than we did last year, okay? A little bit more volume than we did last year. As we go back in, and I'll tell you, let me show you this. So the reason why we don't really care or don't need, we talk about history. History's important. Dave's getting all mad, but here we go. But we can't go back to what happened in 2019 and 2018. No. Look at the difference in volume, even starting the year off. 7,800 shipments versus 11,000 shipments. The volume shipping out today is not even close. So you really don't want to go back and look at those marks back in 2019. But I will tell you this, Dave, when we look at this, let me see if I can do this real quick. So if we look at this, some key marks that we spoke about was in that August period, and we look at it right here. August of 2020, we started to see some trends going on. And if you look from August all the way through, just stay on this top part right here, you see the numbers are pretty similar. We can start seeing the downward spikes, right, around holidays.
Yep.
Coming up after a holiday. Freight's really not changing much. We look at the same thing in November, in December, and January, so trends appear to be the same. Dave, it's probably fair to say, going into 2022, that we will follow along the same trend line. Here was 21 in the green. Okay, again, this orange, we don't care about. That's 19 and 20. Yep. Right? So it's not relevant at this moment. We have new trends. We have new. We become different consumers. We become different. Different in the way we buy everything. So look here. So it's fair to say, Dave, that we're probably going to trend right along the same path the rest of the year, going up and down and kind of hanging out in that same area. I would say if I looked at 2022. Expect it to be kind of like it was the last couple of years.
You've heard it here first.
Right.
It is going to be exactly like the last 2 years.
You know what? We're going to save this picture right here because we're going to come back and look at it. As I go back, Dave, and I start
calling my stock guy today.
I'm going to tell you.
The stock guy today.
I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you some interesting, some exciting things for 2022. As I'm working through budgets, right, for 2022. An exciting thing for me this year regarding fourth quarter, regarding the end of the year, is that Christmas falls on a Sunday in 2022.
Yeah,
which
I
means
saw that,
now
which is
we have
good,
a
and New Year's.
full entire week to ship out of that last Christmas goods.
I saw that too.
That's exciting to me. To me, that's almost another a day and a half, really, almost two full days of revenue for trucking companies out there.
Absolutely, and
for drivers out there.
And to me, it's even a little better. It also falls on New Year's Day. Yeah, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day falls on the weekend. Also, the following week, which to me makes both of those weeks very good weeks for us. And for everybody
because
around.
Monday will be the holiday, I'm going to say. We can get somebody from HR in here. But I'm telling you, companies across America, the holiday will be on a Monday, and nothing goes on. Drive safe, Dave. A struggle from the holidays. I want to talk about that today. As we see the freight where it is today. And let's just do this real quick, Dave, because I want us to look as well as those rejections that are going on. So we're coming off a holiday. We had the Christmas and the New Year, right? Those are holidays in which drivers tend to take off a lot of time. It's the best time to take it, right in that period right there. Well, here we are now, Dave, at 25.18% on the freight rejection rate. That's a lot of freight being rejected.
That's a lot.
And freight's not near as heavy as it was before the holiday, right? We're still 4,000 shipments under that.
Yeah.
And yet now 4,000 shipments a day under what we had, yet rejections remain high at 25%. Dave, why is that?
It's still a lot of freight. I believe it's still a lot of freight.
And to go along with that, I'm going to tell you today across this country that we still have between 16 and 20% of the drivers that were driving before Christmas not back at work.
I agree.
Owner-operators, company drivers. Listen, when they get home during this period, it is tough to get them out of the house. It is tough.
They're tired. They're tired.
You know what? And you're right.
They're tired.
Because last year they ran more miles than they've ever had. You know what? If you talk about an independent contractor or company driver, at the end of the day, most of them had their best year ever.
So I'm going to tell you.
Why not take an extended vacation?
Yeah, well, why not?
The freight's not going away. It's right.
And you know what? All they're doing is helping the market. I will tell you that yesterday, after last night, I called my investor, and last night we talked. I took a stock tip.
My investor.
I took a stock tip from Sir Rick, and I moved some things around and went into storage. I went into warehousing.
Gotcha.
I actually moved a couple of things around and went into warehousing.
So my stock tips are free, and they're not guaranteed.
It's not financial advice too, so we don't want to get sued.
But hold on a second. But I'm never wrong. That's all I got to say.
So I just wanted to let you know I moved a few things around, and we went with just a couple of things and moved. Stag, I think, is a big company. I actually moved a couple of things into that and made some choices, long-term choices for the year based upon some of the information I was given right here on this show.
You know what? I still got to look at those companies. So before you just go out and start buying up warehousing things, let me take a look. But I do think this is that, for trucking companies, once again, Dave, we expect to have a fairly productive year.
Absolutely.
Right. The shipping going on in California, it's still there. The boats, all that is still there.
They're still
we still haven't unloaded everything. The consumer, everything's on backlog still. You remember the orders we talked about before Christmas? You wanted that? Oh, God, I'm getting that for my wife or for my son or for my daughter. You hit it out of order or out of stock.
So
that's still going to eventually kick back in, right?
So my wife's in retail, as you well know. She's been in retail for, 40 years. And she was saying that in a big meeting that they were having along with all of the big corporation that she works with in the military and also the government, they're really concerned about having the inventory needed for next year.
For certain.
So they're talking about overbuying, over warehousing, and overstocking. And she says that's a trend that she sees on many, many fronts by many, many vendors. And she said, because she gets to touch a lot of vendors across because she does of what she does. And their big concern this year is having the inventory necessary to make the money that they need to the end user. And they are all talking about over warehousing. They're talking about warehousing product.
So I'm gonna kind of go with you on this story, and I'm gonna tell you and give you a prediction next of what I really think some of these mergers and acquisitions we'll see in 22. I have some big. I tell you, I got an idea what this year we're gonna see, unlike any other year before. We'll talk to you a little bit about that in about 60 seconds on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Rick Larkin here, host of BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. If you don't already know about Freight and Review, it's a segment I cover once a week where I analyze freight rejections, freight tenders, driver productivity, and much, much more. You can watch Freight and Review on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live. Wow, Dave, we had some major ice and snowstorms. I think there was 25 trucks involved in accidents along the highway as well last night.
Yeah, so not only that, they just couldn't move. They had dumped so many, like over a foot of snow on the highway, and it locked it up. And about 20 years ago, I got stuck on 95, not far from this same location, for about 12 hours, just south of DC. And I'm telling you, about 12 hours, but that's about between the mile marker 100 and about mile marker 150. That got shut down for that extended period of time, and those people were stranded. And you run into a lot of issues when you do that. You got people that run out of fuel. You got people that don't have anything to drink, no water, no bathrooms, no anything, and it makes it very, very difficult.
Yeah, and you bring up that because it's winter time, and we talk about this being prepared for winter. and that's you in the four-wheelers as well, making sure that you're leading with a full tank of gas.
Correct.
You know, you can't always rely on the signs. We saw that, right? The signs is, or I didn't get anything on my app. You know, no notification come. Hey, don't forget, you know, there's still a thing called AM radio.
Yeah.
And AM tends to have some phenomenal road conditions and weather.
Even FM radio. I mean,
even FM.
You know, and by the way, FM radio started 82 years ago today. I don't know if anybody knew that.
Wow, big news.
Anyway,
should have led it off with that.
I should fact check that one.
You can fact check that if you like. But 82 years ago today, FM radio started today. But I'll tell you, you're right. You not only, you know, everybody should have gloves and something and a blanket in the car, or especially if you're going to road trip. Make sure you have water in there, some snacks, and keep your tank as full as you can. I would say never get below ever a quarter. Never get below a quarter tank of fuel. Always keep well above that.
Yeah, and for the four-wheelers out there, and I know this isn't quite the same thing, but when I hear them complaining, you know, you talk about the restrooms. You know what? We've been stuck for 12 hours at a restroom. I want you to do this. Hey, welcome to the life of truckers.
Exactly.
Right? When there's no parking available at a truck stop.
Amen.
Welcome to the life when they're parked on the side of the road, on the exit ramp where they're probably not supposed to be parked at. Certainly not a safe place. Hey, guess what? It sucked, didn't it?
Yeah, it sucked.
And that's every day. We talk about the infrastructure bill. Boy, howdy, you know what? You from D.C., I'm hoping that maybe they were caught in some of that to experience just a little bit drive safe of what our industry goes through all the time.
Yeah, and you know what? It's
no food.
Yeah, it's gonna. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, there are no senators and representatives in Washington right now, so we probably didn't see a lot of them getting stuck, or anybody really working in Washington.
But you know what? I want those stories to go around. I want, you know, those to me, when I saw that on the news, and I'm just saying, I know it sucked being stranded, but you know what? It sucks being stranded on the side of the road because there's no parking. It sucks, right?
Oh man, I'm telling you.
I mean, tell me about that, Drive Safe Dave. And you know what? If you're out there right now, hey, tell me how good you feel to wake up, you know, to pull over, get your break in on the side of the road, no facilities, and God forbid you have to take a leak during that 10-hour break.
Oh,
I don't know who does it, and oh no, if you're doing it outside, you're the devil. You know, what's wrong with you? And where are they going to go, Dave?
They're not. And you know, just over the years, you found ways to, you know what? I've cleaned a few tires off in my time, and I've done what needed to be done. I've made sure, you know, on a quality control check out there on the steer tire. But I'm telling you, you don't have any, unless you've lived it, unless you've done it, unless you've had to pull over and been tired, exhausted, pulled over at try to Walmart. They tell you to leave. Try a exit ramp. They tell you to get going. I mean,
you can't do it. You get a ticket.
It just is continuously on and on and on. And you know what? It hasn't improved greatly in the Northeast at all as far as parking.
The parking in this country hasn't improved that much.
Yeah.
Let's not just pick on the Northeast. Let's talk about Dallas. Parking in this huge city with probably, you know,
horrible.
one of the top 5 locations of freight shipping out of has horrendous parking all around us.
Yeah,
where
bad.
do you park at? And you know what? And yes, you know what? I feel for you yesterday, you that were stuck up there.
Correct.
Welcome to what happens every day across this country of ours with our truck drivers. In the sun, in the rain. If you don't know this, Dave, and maybe you don't know this, is that they don't have porta potties. They don't have restrooms in them trucks. They're big, they're nice, they have beds, but not many bathrooms.
Not many bathrooms, but there are a few, but not many, and those don't really pull what we pull, or mostly pull who we're talking to. But you know, the most well-equipped people in that situation were the truck drivers. I mean, when they got, because they're the only,
right,
you know, you didn't hear,
they're prepared.
You didn't hear one single driver complaining on the TV. They just went back to work because it's part of business, and they've dealt with these situations before. And people don't get it, being stuck 3 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours, traffic jams, accidents. It's part of the business, and it's a bad thing. But we're not actually trying to race out and get a TV interview because we don't. I mean, because they're rolling, because drivers start rolling when they can.
Yes, they do.
They go back to work. In fact, I think even some of them just called it a quick 10, and now they've got fresh hours and let's go.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I know. We're not moving for 10 hours. I'm good. Hey, honk at me.
But
Let somebody let me
knock
know.
on the cab door. I'll be rolling here in a minute. Yeah.
Hey, but we want to remind this, and that's for all of us. Hey, remember to look at those weather, where you're going to, not just where you're at right now. Be prepared. Understand where you're going into, the history of those roads. You know, if you're up in Wyoming, know that there's a good chance that you need to keep checking on the wind. You know, up there in Rawlins area, you've got to make sure that, you know, that what it is right now, it's not going to be the same in an hour. Make sure you're ready for that. You're prepared. You're ready to go. Drive safe day. Before we went to the break, you're talking about the warehousing. I do believe that this year, and maybe even next year, so I'm going to go ahead a little bit, another year ahead on this, is that I think we're going to see more companies, and I'm talking about and we saw it, I think, with one of a clothing company. They went out and bought a small transportation company. I think that we're going to see some of these companies, that need their goods moved, buying for really, I say the first time, buying some of these logistics companies, trucking and brokerage companies, to get their freight moved.
Priority.
And you think about, let's just say a company like McDonald's, just throw McDonald's out there. McDonald's has all of this freight that they're struggling to move, the French fries, the chicken nuggets, the hamburgers, all of this. They have their own trucks, but hey, guess what? They still have a lot of freight out there that them and everybody else is struggling to get moved. Why not buy a 200 truck, 300, 500 truck, 80 truck operation to guarantee your freight's going to move at not increased prices, at not that crazy spot price? Because of the spot market, because of the pricing, I think we're going to see some private companies that need their freight moved, need their product moved, come into this transportation market and buy some of these companies up.
Yeah, and not necessarily, but McDonald's is a good example, but McDonald's already has their own trucking company.
It doesn't matter, Dave. They don't move all of their freight.
No, they don't.
It's no different than FedEx. They don't move all their freight. I'm saying companies, if they need their freight moved, I'm talking about Cisco Foods, they have trucks, and they still can't get their freight moved. They're going to have to buy trucking companies out there today, and the value is there to them.
My question is, are we going to see companies, and I don't mean that. I know that those companies already have trucking companies. I'm wondering if we're going to see any new players because they don't have any transportation and they're going to go out for the first time.
I think it's going to. I don't think it really matters whether you have it or you don't. If you have, it's how much freight are you moving on that spot market freight today. It doesn't even matter what you're doing. If you're moving, X amount of freight at this dollar, well, you know that, what when you pay a driver or whatever it's going to cost us, you can get rid of that spot market right? You
absolutely.
can control your own freight. So why not go out and buy that company? If you're a clothing company, you can be Levi's. I don't care who you are. If you're not moving your freight, you can be Dickies. It doesn't matter if your freight's sitting or you're paying way up here this amount of. It's the time to get rid of that and to go out there and buy somebody to get your freight moved at not a crazy, stupid, ridiculous spot freight that we've seen this year.
Yeah, and you've got and you know what? There's going to be a lot of opportunities to do that. I don't know. I'm under the mindset that we still have a lot of things to figure out this year, especially with the ports and the inputs. And I mean,
you're not going to figure it out though. Let's be honest.
I think we will.
How are we going to figure it out this year?
I think we will.
How? I'm asking you how. You think? Tell me how.
We're going to spread the wealth. I mean, they're going to stop.
Dave, have you seen the other ports?
Yeah.
Where is that volume at? Houston's already full.
It's up by 30%.
Yeah.
So where's that going to go?
Can it go to 80%?
Where's it going to go? I'm asking, where is that freight going to go to?
I'm just thinking that I think there's going to be people finding ways to do that. I mean, we figured things out.
Let me just do this. So I'll go with you on this. You know what? Why not ship it somewhere else? Well, because they're not equipped to handle it. Most of them, are they going to build, they move, 30 containers. They can input 30 containers today. How are they going to take 40? Now you're going to have, all you're doing now is sharing the backlog around the country. I think when it comes to technology, it doesn't happen overnight. these ports that they're going to have to build in, the infrastructure around them. I'm saying that's going to happen. They eventually will spread it, but that takes a lot of time.
Well, and especially if you upgrade the facility and you go in and you dredge the port that they're talking about.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I mean, they can work
it's like
on
a
it
5-year project.
Yeah, these things are. I mean, it's gonna. But what's going to happen today? We still have an 80,000 truck or driver shortage right now. That's not going to improve. Let's not kid ourselves.
If not get worse.
Yeah, it's going to get worse. More people are going to retire.
Yeah.
And we're not, again, these people coming in, COVID's still prevalent around. I mean, you still are struggling right now to get these drivers trained. Why? Because when you put more than one person in that truck, you've reduced the bubble. And now you stand a better chance of more people getting sick, even while you're training people today.
Yeah, right now, any service industry in the United States is suffering.
We saw the subway shut down in New York.
Yeah,
they're shutting down routes the rest of the week.
Yeah, any service industry in the United States is going to suffer immensely from a labor shortage across the country, no matter what.
So let me tell you. So I ruined my diet yesterday. I'll kind of go into that as well. I know, it's crazy. I went for a 3-mile walk yesterday. So tensions were absolutely great. Go 3 miles, and I'm walking with my wife, and she goes, "Oh, we're gonna walk up to the AT&T because Katie's due for her upgrade. Our daughter's due for her upgrade on the phone." Cool. 3-mile walk up there. We get up there. Katie picks us up, and what's next to us is a taco place and a pizza place. And needless to say, I cheated on my thigh. But I will tell you this, the pizza place, hold on, Mod Pizza, okay, just opened up in Mansfield, Texas, a year ago, shut down for renovations. And I think, is it really renovations? I mean, is it an employee shortage? What's going on right now? I mean, Dave, there was like 4 million people quit working in November. Did you see that? Over 4 million people.
Oh yeah, it was the great. They're calling last year the Great Resignation.
Not the depression. What are they doing?
They're calling it the Great
Trading
Resignation.
Dogecoin.
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
I'll tell you. And Macy's reported yesterday, I believe. Macy's reported that they're going to shorten their hours to 6 p.m. instead of 9 p.m. because of the number of people that they have trying to get in. Macy's a pretty big department store.
We got on the phone Mr. Wayne.
Good morning, Wayne.
Morning. Off the beaten path. On a safety note, I wanted to notify if anybody in New England's on here. Most of 84, 91 south of Hartford is closed, all due to ice.
Wow.
Multiple accidents. There's over 17 accidents on 91.
Gotcha. We'll make sure that when we have the weather coming up with Double Check Dale, that we cover that area as well. Let's just make sure. Hey, I appreciate that. Listen, we have bad weather still up in that New England, that northeast of New England, Dave. And Wayne, if you're still on, y'all don't see a lot of ice. It's a lot of snow, right?
Yes, there's a lot of snow, but not this year. It's very wet up here this year.
And wet.
But today is the worst. Right now, I'm shut down in Connecticut. I can't even drive right now.
Gotcha. And so, hey, Wayne, we want to encourage you to, stay there, stay safe. If you got a spot, phenomenal. Don't miss out on it. Is it going to warm up there later on?
I believe so, yes.
All right. We'll get out of there. And you know what? Speaking of that, Wayne, you probably see a little bit of what Drive Safe Dave has on his shirt right now. Moose crossing. Any moose sightings going on up there in the New Englands?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we see quite often, yes.
Got to be careful of them moose, by the way.
Moose, you just stop. You don't go for it.
Yeah, moose, they're big.
And they're looking at you eye to eye, right?
They are
in the truck.
Yeah, I was in Maine, and I had one pull up, too, and I looked right at it eye to eye, yes.
Yeah, they'll look
insane.
They'll look you right in the face.
That is insane. Absolutely insane. Hey, we appreciate that, Wayne. Y'all stay safe out there. Drive safe, Dave. Give us that phrase at pace.
All right, that phrase.
And the phrase that pays for today is
January is here. Slow down a gear.
One more time.
January is here. Slow down a gear.
We'll see you coming up in 60 seconds or a minute and a half, something like that, with Double Check Dale on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Hi, this is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road.
You got to be prepared to stop. And when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights.
You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today. Hey everybody, it's Drive Safe Dave here with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. As you know, winter is upon us, and with winter comes some difficulties and challenges. Now, if you live below or running below that 20 or I-10 corridor, you may not feel that pressure, but if you do, let's talk about a few little tips that we have. Tip number one, let's make sure we get over here and we drain these air tanks. Let's get that moisture out of there so that we make sure, because moisture and freezing cold temperatures don't mix. All they make is ice. Tip number two, remember when air temperature drops, so does pressure in these tires. You want to make sure that when you enter into or near cold temperatures, you make sure that your tire pressure is and cold pressure stays correct throughout these cold temperatures. You want to be safe out there because this is where the rubber meets the road. Tip number three, if it's extreme weather and extreme cold conditions, you may want to make sure that you use an anticoagulant or an anti-gel inside the diesel fuel so that it thins and doesn't gel up on you in the lines or anywhere else. Tip number four, as you know, when you enter into the West, there are certain regions that require you to have snow chains and or snow socks in that region. Make sure that you carry them. And tip number five, I'm going to give this one to you as a freebie. Carry with you a little bit of cat litter in your truck. That way, if you get a little bit stuck or if you get near a region that doesn't have a lot of grip, you can throw that down and give your truck that needed oomph to get out of those sticky or slippery situations. For more pertinent and safety information, you can always tune in Monday through Friday, Central Standard Time between 7 and 8 a.m. and get that needed information on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Good Wednesday morning and welcome to the Safety Show on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. You got Double Check Dale here with Jack running the controls. We're going to look at some traffic and some weather, and then we'll take a short break and come back and do safety and videos. Starting in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with the traffic, and if you're over on the Fort Worth side, you look really good this morning. 35W looks like it's clean even through the downtown construction area. Traffic looks to be moving pretty well over there. If you're on the 820 in the North Richland Hills and then again in the Bedford area, you are going to see some slowdowns and some heavier traffic there. 820 where it joins 30 on the east side of Fort Worth, you know, there's some slowdowns there, but doesn't look like anything major. You come over to the Dallas side of things, and you're going to see 30 and I believe that's Sam Rayburn, where they merge together down there in Cockrell Hill area. You're going to see a major slowdown there on the northbound lanes. Downtown Dallas, you know, heavy traffic, but nothing out of the ordinary there. 30 and 635 in the Garland area. Looks like you have some slowdowns in traffic there, but nothing major. And then out in the Forney area, westbound lanes on 80. Looks like you have a pretty good slowdown there. Look for a delay out in the Forney area if you're on 80. If you're going south on any of the major roads out of Dallas today, they all look pretty good. Moving to Houston. You know, the outer loop looks really good this morning. In the inner loop, there's a little bit of traffic on 290 and 10, or slowdown. I should say there's probably a lot of traffic, but it looks like there's a slowdown in that Hunter Creek Village area on 290. Other than that, you come over to 45 in the South Houston area inside the outer loop. You're going to see some slowdowns in traffic there. It looks like you're going to have a pretty major delay as you head into the downtown area on 45. 288 inside the outer loop, again, going into the downtown area, going to see a slowdown and a pretty good delay there. Other than that, Houston looks pretty good this morning. As we go to Kansas City looks really good this morning. A slight slowdown in the Mission area on 35, going south out of the downtown area. Other than that, there's not a lot to talk about up in Kansas City. Chicago, wow, really good looking traffic this morning, rush hour in Chicago. All the major routes coming in from the west look really wide open, and going across all the way 80, 90, all the way across in Indiana looks good. You get inside that 294 loop and the 90 going into the downtown area, you're going to see a little bit of a buildup in slower traffic there. Just pack your patience there, slow down a little bit, keep your space. And then when you get in the downtown area of Chicago, if you have to go there, that's where you're going to see the heaviest traffic. Expect the normal delays there. We're going out to Atlanta, and if you're in Atlanta, 20, where it hits 285 on the west side of town, that's where you're going to see that slowdown there. But the south part of the 285 loop looks really good this morning. There's looks like there's no slowdowns or major traffic going on there. North side of Atlanta on the 285 loop, the Sandy Springs area is where you're going to see the slowdown, and that's going to be in both directions. And so if you're on 285 up around the Sandy Springs area, expect some major delays, some slowdowns there. Just slow it down, keep that space in front of you, pack your patience, because you'll get through it. Other than that, the roads in the Atlanta area look really pretty good this morning going south. All the roads look good. I guess if you get out in 20, out in the Oxford, Covington area, you're going to see a slowdown there on the westbound lanes. Philadelphia, looks like we got some pretty heavy traffic going on the north side of Philadelphia, up in the Narberth area, Cheltenham. Pardon me for if I mispronounce it. But on Philadelphia, we have heavy traffic this morning, like I said, in that downtown, north of the downtown area. So if you're there, pack your patience. 295 in that area, in a Mission, that really big slowdown there, some delays. So, if you're Philadelphia, downtown area, a little bit north of there, that's where the heaviest traffic looks to be. 76 and 276 all look good. Going up north, all the roads look pretty good going that way. Nashville, the usual culprits there. It's at 2465 where they join together north of the downtown area where you're seeing that slowdown. Lots of heavy traffic there. 31 East coming into the downtown area, East Nashville. Major slowdown and tie up there. And then 40, where 40 and 24 split south of town. We see quite a bit of heavy traffic there. So probably pretty normal for, a rush hour, but just remember, just slow it down, be patient, we'll get through it. And then 24 coming into Nashville from the south, the northbound lanes, looks like we have something going on there because you're going to really run into some slower traffic. Probably see some pretty good delays there, stop and go traffic even. So, if you're on 24, just be patient and know that you'll get through it. It looks like it lightens up around the Beverly Heights area. Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, almost looks like they forgot to put traffic on there this morning because it's so much green out there. Washington, D.C. is just green everywhere you go, so, enjoy your commute in D.C. Going up to Baltimore, traffic looks really good. All around Baltimore, it looks really good. So, hey, enjoy the traffic out there this morning if you're in the area. Indianapolis, all the major routes coming into the city look really good this morning, and the 465-70 loop looks really good. So, there's really no congestion to speak of in the Indianapolis area. And with that, we will go to weather in a bit. And so, yes, part of the topic is the Northeast. They do have some freezing rain up in the Northeast at Connecticut. Freezing rain, and we'll move into the upper New England area today. Expect accumulation is really light, less than 1/10 of an inch, and it'll diminish as the day goes on. Some of the major routes, like I said, I-91, 90, 93 are all affected. Yeah, it is expected to warm up there today. I was talking to somebody up there, and they said, it's supposed to get up to almost 50 degrees. So, Right now, if the roads are shut down because they're slick and icy, we give it a couple hours, it should start to thaw off out there because they are expecting it to warm up. So here we go with weather today, and we'll start with the wind. And it's the normal areas that today right now, and I shouldn't say normal, but the ones that we always talk about where the wind really is. It's out on the front range of Colorado, the Rockies in Colorado, going up into Wyoming, like Sir Rick said, that Elk Mountain area, Laramie, Wyoming. That's where, some of the heaviest winds are going on, or the strongest winds are going on right now. Other areas that you may want to watch for some winds are up in that northwest Iowa, southern South Dakota, southern Minnesota, northeast Nebraska, and that winds all come across into northern Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. And so, some winds are starting to build out there, and I think we're going to see some snow and some precipitation in some of those areas also. As we move that forward to the overnight or the afternoon for the winds, they pretty much stay in the same areas out west, and then they do die down a little bit throughout the day up in the upper Midwest. We go into the overnight area. It's still going to be the winds out in in Colorado. They die down. It's mostly in northern Colorado, southern Wyoming is where you're going to see the major winds. We do have some winds on the front side of the Rockies down in New Mexico that are a little bit concerned. Winds do pick up down here in central Texas, Lubbock and the Dallas areas. They're starting to pick up a little bit overnight. We'll see some 30-mile-an-hour winds, but there's no real high gusts projected with those. Just be aware of the windy conditions. If you're loaded light or empty, you may need to slow down at least 5-10 miles an hour. Okay. Tomorrow afternoon, the winds are in the same location out in Colorado, front side of the Rockies and Wyoming. And we're starting to see a little bit of winds come up through the Gulf Coast, Mississippi, Alabama, and into Georgia. Let's take a look at that precipitation, see what's going on with it. And if we look, like I said, we're going to start out on the east, northeast, and like I said, it's up in that Connecticut, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Delaware, New Hampshire. I said that one already. Is where the wind and the freezing rain is. Like I said, it is going on right now. Talk to the driver up there. There's some freezing rain going on, and so we want to be very aware of that. But again, as the day moves on, it's definitely going to warm up, so it'll be manageable a little bit later in the day. We look at the snowfall right now, and most of it is up in the Pacific Northwest. Most of Wyoming and Idaho, southern Montana are picking up snows at higher elevations in the Rockies. But again, Salt Lake City and northern Utah is picking up snow. They've been getting a lot of snow, so do be aware of that out there. And then there's another band of snow that's coming down out of Canada that's got most of Minnesota covered up right now. And as we put that into motion, we see those storms and the snow start to shift south into the east. And so by this afternoon, most of the northern or western Nebraska will be getting some snow, and it's just starting to get into Kansas, northern Kansas. And so that snow is definitely starting to shift down. The freezing rain has moved a little bit further up in the East Coast. It's moved a little bit further up into Maine, northern New Hampshire. Still getting some precipitation out there on the East Coast this afternoon. I'll continue to move that snow forward and see what happens a little bit later today going into the overnight. By 6 o'clock tonight, 7 o'clock tonight, the snow is now moved all the way through northern Kansas, and by this evening, Kansas City area should be getting some snow and some precipitation. Temperatures will probably be down in the double digits, 19, 20s down in that area. So, be aware of some weather going on there, changing road conditions. Make sure we adjust our speeds for that. Continue to move that forward into the overnight. And that snow just continues to move eastward. And by midnight, snow is all the way across central Kansas, stretching from Kansas City to St. Louis. Looks like it's going to be right along that I-70 corridor there from St. Louis to Kansas City. All of northern Kansas and southern Nebraska, northeastern Colorado will be getting snow in the overnight hours. And we're starting to see a little bit of snow again up. It's the lake effect snow up in northern New York. Parts of Pennsylvania going into way western Massachusetts will be getting snow and a mixed bag of precipitation. So, windy.com is what we use here. That's a good resource for you to stay up to date on it. 511.org is a great place to check your road conditions. So use those as, tools. That as we go into tomorrow morning, about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, that snow is still stretching all the way across Kansas. Now it's in the way southern part of Nebraska, Kansas, all the way across, still running from Kansas City all the way over to St. Louis. But tomorrow morning around 6 a.m. area, we want to be, if you're in the Memphis area, central Arkansas, northern Mississippi, there's a mixed bag of precipitation going on there. Looks like there's going to be some freezing rain and precipitation. So if you're in that area, in the overnight hours going into tomorrow morning, definitely be aware of that, the freezing rain and precipitation out there in the Memphis area tomorrow morning. By tomorrow afternoon, look at this, tomorrow afternoon, this is at 2 o'clock. A large portion from St. Louis all the way covers all of Tennessee, all of Kentucky, southern Illinois, Indiana, southern Ohio, and down into northern Mississippi is expecting snow tomorrow afternoon. And so definitely be aware of that. That's tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. All those areas are expecting snow. And again, the leading edge of this storm will have freezing rain and precipitation with it. So, that's where we really need to be aware of what's going on with the road conditions, the temperatures, and making sure we're adjusting our speed for it. And so with that, we're going to take a short break.
Yes, and if you're wearing your shorts today out in Baltimore, hey, change it, right? It's really not that warm. So
It's really not 50 degrees. I'm just saying right now in Baltimore, I don't even know if it's above
the
freezing.
producers over here saying, well, who looks at that anyway? I'm thinking, well, people look at your thing. What we put up here is pretty relevant. And they're like, no snow, no ice.
I was looking at the temperatures across the country. I was like, that looks relatively warmer than I believe it. I mean, what is that? That's spring.
Hey, this just in as well. Our clock is working.
Oh!
Did you notice that?
I did.
Wow, great job on that. And kudos to the producer for hitting the sync button to make it work instead of just adding 2 minutes. Thank you for that, producer. We appreciate all the work you do.
Yeah.
Hey, Dale, what's going on in your world of safety?
You can't actually add 2 minutes to it, just a heads up.
But you got it
fixed,
fixed, right?
It's
You got it fixed. I remember just yesterday being told that can't be fixed.
done.
Can't
He
be.
was blaming it on the he blamed Amazon.
Yeah.
He blamed Santa Claus. He blamed
But
anybody
Wi-Fi,
but
our
himself.
Wi-Fi,
You
yeah.
know what? That's the generation we're in right now.
So
Is
if he
pass
added
it
2
on.
If he added 2 minutes, are we ahead of our time?
You know what?
We're in the future.
What's going on in safety, Dale?
Safety this week we're talking about truck brakes, and today we're going to talk about air leaks, checking for air leaks, and making sure sometimes it can be a hard thing to identify because they can be hard to hear. So you need to get your system fully charged up. release your parking brake, and then listen for air leaks. Walk around it while you have that parking brake released on your trailer. You can listen for air leaks.
And sometimes you can smell them when it comes from Drive Safe Dave over here, those air leaks. So they're out there in a couple different ways.
I'll tell you what, when you are checking for, the best test is immediate test is a pump down test. Verify that you're not losing pressure in your system when you pump down the brakes, and when you hold tight the pressure system to make sure that that is good, and to see that if you're losing any air at all. When you're running the truck and it's running, you're not going to see. But if you wake up every morning and you have zero air pressure, you are losing air. That is a contained system. So I'm just telling you that as you move forward today and you look at it, any type of drop in your air systems. Now, if you have a sudden drop in temperature and things like that, you're going to see a little bit of drop in temperature. But I just wanted you to know that do your pump down test as part of your pre-trip, and you're going to be able to identify any that you're going to have a leak. And then you can jump out and start doing that search, the snake search.
You want to make sure your glad hands, the grommets on your glad hands are in good condition. A lot of drivers I know carry extra ones with them. And your pressure shouldn't go down more than 3 psi per second instead of a shut off. If it is, you look for a problem there. And I think the other thing to do, especially in the winter time, is drain those air tanks.
Absolutely.
Every day. So with that, that's the safety. So we want to look at some videos today. First video here, short green light, I believe, is what this one is.
We look at it, and we know what? Stop.
Yep.
Wow.
Hard to see.
Who else gets excited in America about somebody stopping at a yellow or red light?
Because, the video starts, and they're going from a dead stop, and so it is really a short light here, and this driver, is patient instead of trying to push through it.
Good job.
And
that is what we're talking about. That could be an award winner right there.
Yep.
Just stopping at a yellow light, not going with that temptation to keep on going.
Yep.
You know what? You've reduced your speed down. You made sure you could see the light. You see the yellow. You don't fight it. You pack your patience, and you stop to avoid an accident in an intersection.
And that's that space between you, because by being back this far, you get the big picture a lot sooner. You see that light is changed already a lot sooner than if you're trying to rush through right on the tail of a vehicle in front of you. So great job all the way around. This one here, from exiting to the roadway. This one, I like this one because it looks like this four-wheeler is messing with this driver and everything.
Absolutely.
And so I called the driver. I said, hey, what was going on then? He said, actually, he was doing a good thing. He said, I blew a tire out, and he was trying to get my attention and trying to get me to pull over. So the four-wheeler was actually trying to, warn the driver that, hey, you may want to get pulled over in this instant. And so, driver pulled over, did have a blown tire, and got it fixed on the side of the road.
Okay.
So four-wheeler helped out. Here we exit the roadway on this one. Here we go. We're going to see this coming up. Right here, there's a car just going over, and now he's going to come across a couple lanes from an on-ramp all the way back onto the freeway. You got to have that big picture, staying back, and it just goes to show,
it's scary.
The space. If he'd been, that other vehicle had been in that, other exit lane going at a high speed, he's going to nail this car as he comes across, and so just the importance of having that speed and space.
Yeah, that spacing on the driver right here. Again, I'm going to, kudos to you. Your spacing's starting to shrink, so you slow down your speed a little bit, and you avoid what could have been an accident. And again, if you're tailgating this car in front of you, and this happens, there's a bigger chance you could rear end the vehicle.
Absolutely.
So by having that patience, by keeping your space, and I can tell this driver is counting. They say taking the pledge to say, I'm going to count. And they're counting their seconds so they can know how far away they are. And as those seconds start to decrease, they decrease their speed to make sure that space is there. Number two, these are two great videos we've seen here. I guess 2.5. If you have a blown tire, drive safe. Do you ever know it at the time? Or sometimes do you need that car to help you out?
I've been told on the CB that I've had one on an inside tire that you didn't identify or you didn't hear it pop, but typically if it's an outside tire you can find it or see it, or some of the neat stuff is you get to see the debris flying up.
I was going to say the debris, right?
Yeah,
all over the place. And hopefully I'm going to go and say this, that hopefully you know, we didn't just get on the highway, right? That truck didn't get on the highway without doing a pre-trip. Let me tell you, when you're doing your pre-trips, Dave, you're looking for things like this, right? You're looking for tires that could blow. You're looking for that tread depth. You're looking for if you're driving a truck or trailer that has retreads, you're looking for that separation as well, right?
Yeah, and also you're making sure you don't have a flat tire. I mean,
Yes.
those tend to shred quickly when you leave out and the tire's flat. That's what happens to them.
Here we just got some great space going on here. I just love this. Another great video because all of a sudden this box truck is going to change lanes and there's traffic dead stopped in front of them. And so just imagine if we're tailgating this box truck right up into that area and we don't have time to make that lane change or somebody else is along. So just really goes to show, the speed and space, getting that big picture and staying back. And you have so much more warning, so much more time to react to stop traffic or other, things that.
Yeah, that's kind of like what's behind curtain number 1, and the truck moves out of the way. The bobtail, and stop traffic.
Yep.
That's what's behind curtain number 1, and you've got to make sure that you're allowing yourself that time to stop and not, boy, these can just get bad when you're tailgating, but when you're doing it, like you said, Dale, when your space is there from the beginning, it makes these decisions a little bit easier.
Yeah, and also and if you do stop, and avoid quick lane changes too, because that's what you're doing. You're endangering the people behind you because they can't see around you. So to come to a complete stop in those situations, in that traffic moment, you're protecting the traffic behind you.
Those are great videos this morning. That's fun to share those.
We appreciate that. Great videos on that. Dave, anything there that really kind of stuck out for you today?
Yeah, I just want to be mindful of when you're out there on the road and you're getting the attention of a driver or somebody out there on the road. You want to be cautious about that. I just don't want people pulling over and because there are moments, a lot going on. There's a lot happening out there. You want to be mindful of what they're trying to communicate to you if they're trying to do that. But I don't want you to exit to an area that's not protected, or I don't want you to try to always think that what's going on out there is the right thing. You got to be very, very careful out there because there are people that will hijack trucks. There are people that will hurt people, and you just got to be mindful of that.
All right. Well, everybody, I want to say a great show today. Great topic. Seen some phenomenal videos in here, and we want to again encourage you to stay safe, to make sure your space is out there. Drive safe, Dave. I know you got a busy day ahead of you. We're going to go to a prayer. Dave, you want to say that, and then we'll let you go do some snake hunting.
Dear Heavenly Father, we gather before you today to ask for your grace in all things. Father, we want to say thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us in our lives each and every day. Father, give us the ability to go out today and do the right thing, to do the best thing, and do the things that you would like for us to do in this world, to do your will upon the world as you see it. Father, give us also the courage to be a blessing upon somebody else today in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Give us that strength and that knowledge to know when to say yes and when to say no. Father, do what you can to help us be safe, help us always protect others, and do the very best we can each and every day. With that, in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Everybody, we'll see you this afternoon on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.